There are low level. There are low level.
All right, it looks like everything's working properly.
There are low level.
All right, it looks like everything's working properly.
There are low level.
Welcome to the Pipeline Podcast. Today is.
Looks like everything's working
properly. Okay, sorry, one sec. Welcome to the Pipeline Podcast. Today is.
Looks like everything's working.
Welcome to the Pipeline Podcast live stream. Today is October 23rd, and I believe it's the last New York City mayoral debate. And we're gonna stream that. So earlier this week we streamed the first debate with all three of the final candidates after the primaries. And I believe this is the last one. So we're gonna stream it, give our hot takes, same as the last debate that we covered.
While also threatening to
The candidates joining us tonight have met a fundraising threshold established by the Campaign Finance Board. The seat is currently held by Eric Adams, who has decided not to run for re-election. In alphabetical order, Andrew Cuomo is a former governor of New York running on an independent line. Zohran Mamdani is the Democratic nominee, representing parts of Queens in the State Assembly since 2021. And Curtis Sliwa is the Republican nominee and the founder of the Guardian Angels.
Now for the rules. The rules you see on your screen right now have been agreed to by all of the candidates. Each candidate will deliver an opening statement of up to 45 seconds, and then answers to our questions will generally be limited to 60 seconds with a chance for rebuttals. Candidates will have an opportunity to ask one opponent one question in our cross-examination round. So let's begin. This will be the last time all three candidates will be together on stage. The next mayor will be sworn into office 71 days from now on January 1st, 2026. He will inherit a city with an affordability crisis, a tense relationship with the federal government, and millions of New Yorkers who very likely did not support him. Let's begin our debate with your...
Real quick, I just want to say, during the last debate, Sliwa and Mamdani had the same amount of wins. Sliwa had less losses, so we gave the win to Sliwa.
Your opening statements to viewers. You have 45 seconds. The order was determined by a random drawing on live television this morning, and we'll begin with Curtis Sliwa. Good evening.
Thank you. It's us versus them. It's us versus the insiders and the billionaires. It's us versus Cuomo. It's us versus Zohran. This is a campaign not about power. This is a
Apparently Zohran's father is a millionaire. That's why he's saying that.
Campaign about you, the people. And I know many of you hardworking New Yorkers, you tell me you've been pushed aside, you've been silenced. These are the people that have all the money, all the connections. They've made their backroom deals, but we have something more important. We have you, the people. And we're not going to be silenced anymore. We're going to fight. Tonight, I want you to look at the content of my policies.
We're going to
know
fight.
That I've served this city for more than 50 years, the city that I love. And I'm going to share with you my vision to make New York City safer again, to make New York City more affordable again, and where everybody once again can live the American dream.
Thank you. Next is Andrew Cuomo. Good evening.
Nice nothing burger from him.
Thank you. Good evening. New York's first, thank you to the moderators. Thank you all for being here. And go Knicks, go Knicks, go Knicks. I hope we get an update on the score. New York is the greatest city on the globe. But we are at a pivotal moment. And the voters are going to have to decide in this election what candidate has the plan to save this city and what candidate can get it done, not just talk about it. My main opponent has no new ideas. He has no new plans. Bill de Blasio rehash, and we know how that turned out. He's never run anything, managed anything. He's never had a real job. I will hire 5,000 new police, build 500,000 new units. I will cut taxes. I will grow jobs. And I will end this hate-mongering and division that is tearing this city apart, because that's not who we are as New Yorkers. You know I can make change. You know I can make government work. I've done it before. I'll be ready on day one.
Okay, thank you. Next is Zohran Mamdani. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you to the moderators, and thank you to New Yorkers for tuning in. I know you'd rather be watching the Knicks. While there are 3 candidates on this stage, you will hear only 2 messages. My opponents,
He stole Cuomo's joke.
who spend more time trying to convince the other to drop out than actually proposing their own policies, will speak only of the past, because that's all that they know. I am the sole candidate running with a vision for the future of this city. Andrew Cuomo will spend much of tonight attacking me. He is a desperate man, lashing out because he knows that the one thing he's always cared about, power, is now slipping away from him. He will amplify right-wing talking points, he will share conspiracy theories, and he will do these things.
I hope we get into some conspiracies tonight. That would be great.
To make you feel that this should keep you up at night. But I've been spending the last year listening to New Yorkers, and I know what actually keeps you up. It's whether or not you can afford to live a safe and dignified life in this city. I have plans for our future. My opponents only have fear.
Thank you very much, candidates. Let's start tonight with some breaking news that happened yesterday.
I will say some very dramatized opening statements by all 3 of them. And I think now he's going to talk about the ICE raid in Chinatown Canal Street.
Afternoon, when federal agents descended on Canal Street, arresting street vendors who have been selling counterfeit designer merchandise for as long as any of us can remember.
That doesn't mean it's legal, Mr. Announcer thing, Mr. Guy, Mr. Host.
This is the first time we've seen major federal law enforcement activity in the city outside of arrests at immigration court in lower Manhattan. And some critics are now ringing an alarm bell, calling it a dangerous and unprecedented use of federal agents in New York City. Others say that the vendors were a major quality of life problem in the neighborhood that the NYPD had ignored. So I'll ask each of you to respond to this. How should the mayor and the NYPD have handled both the presence of the street vendors and then the federal action? We'll start with you, Mr. Cuomo.
First, I'll give you how I would handle it, how the Pipeline Podcast would handle it. We would have the NYPD coordinate with the federal agents.
I've had a lot of dealings with President Trump, and there's only one way to deal with him. He puts his finger in your chest, and you have to put your finger right back in his chest.
No.
I've actually had this situation with ICE interfering in New York before. It was upstate New York where ICE just showed up and started to take action. And I called the president, and I went down to the White House, and I said, that doesn't work in New York. You don't send ICE in without coordinating with our police. It's not.
So is he saying he wants the police to work with ICE to deport illegal immigrants? Is that what he's saying? That's what it sounds like.
It's not smart, it's duplicative, and it's dangerous. We don't need ICE to do quality of life crimes. We don't need them to worry about illegal vendors. That's a basic policing function for NYPD, Consumer Affairs, etc. I would have called the president and I would have said, look, you're way out of bounds, they're way out of bounds, call them back or I'm going to have the NYPD step in and stop them.
Okay, so now it sounds like he's saying he would threaten Trump and say, get the federal agents out of New York, make them stop arresting these vendors, these illegal street vendors, by the way, or else I'll stick the NYPD on federal agents. Nobody wants that. That would just make him a rogue mayor. Oh, that's a terrible idea.
Because this is not their jurisdiction. You're in the city of New York.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani.
Federal agents have jurisdiction in like cities in the country.
ICE is a reckless entity that cares little for the law and even less for the people that they're supposed to serve. What we need to be doing here in our city is to end the chapter of collaboration between City Hall and the federal government, which we've seen under Mayor Adams. What we need to do is actually pass the street vending reform bills that have been in the City Council, some of which that this mayor has actually overridden. That's an example of how we can both protect street vendors, ensure quality of life, and leave no stone unturned in delivering for the people of this city, as opposed to working with a president who is looking to declare war on those same people.
Yeah, it looks like he's saying make it easier for these street vendors to get legal licenses. I agree with that. That's a great idea. Absolutely.
Mr. Sliwa.
Unlike both of my adversaries, I patrolled that area many times, Church and Canal. And as you said, Errol, that activity has been going on for a long time. Selling the knockoff,
That's
sometimes
true.
stolen contraband by a series of people. The local 5th precinct, they make arrests when they have obviously cause to do so, and they complain that they have to release them because of no cash bail, of which both of my adversaries are in favor of, and I'm not. The Fed
call them out. Sliwa, get him. Silwa, sorry.
Should not have stepped into this situation. There is not communication between the local authorities and the feds. This is a matter that should have been left up to the NYPD. But we can't tolerate citizens attacking our federal law enforcement forces in the street because then that will just lead to anarchy.
I agree with most of that. It's true. You can't have citizens attacking federal agents, but also the NYPD weren't dealing with these illegal street vendors, so that's why ICE decided to step in. So maybe the NYPD should have done a better job in the first place, and maybe if the NYPD and these ICE agents worked together, things would go even more smoothly.
Let me ask a related question. President Trump has been commenting on this race and all of you on a regular basis. He's been less than glowing when talking about each of you, especially you, Mr. Mamdani. I'd like you each to describe whatever combination of defiance, diplomacy, and cooperation you will use as mayor if President Trump continues to increase the federal government's role in the affairs of our city while also threatening to decrease funding. Start with you this time, Mr. Sliwa.
Well, both my adversaries have decided to bump chess with President Trump to prove who's more macho. You can't beat Trump. He holds most of the cards. He's already cut federal funding for Medicaid, for the SNAP program, and it's threatened to cut funds for NYCHA. So if you're all of a sudden going to get adversarial, you're going to lose. And who?
Yeah, I agree. If the mayor of New York City starts trying to fight Trump, it's just going to be another LA or Chicago where Trump sends in the National Guard and then people freak out and overreact and it just turns into like unnecessary chaos.
Gets hurt the people of New York City. With Trump, it's always the art of the deal. You have to go, you have to try to negotiate, whether it's with his minions or himself. He'll want you to give in order to get a little bit. But if you immediately act like you're going to take him on, like, you know, it's going to be a one-on-one fight, we're going to lose. All the people in New York City are going to lose. You have to be able to show respect. And I think if you show respect, you'll get respect and you'll protect the New Yorkers who are so desperately in need of federal funds. What's the good of it? They'll bump chess with Donald Trump. They won't get the money, and then they'll blame Donald Trump.
Yep.
I will negotiate with Donald Trump and try to get the best deal possible for our poor and indigent citizens.
Okay, Mr. Cuomo.
He got claps for that on C-SPAN.
Yeah, the difference on this question is I've actually lived it and I've done it. With President Trump over many years through the most difficult situation that this country has gone through, COVID plus. You're wrong.
He did a terrible job with
You're going
COVID.
to have to confront President Trump. He is hyper-aggressive, and he is going to overstep his bounds. And you are going to have to confront him. And you can beat him. I confronted him, and I have beaten him. He was going to quarantine New York during COVID. And I stopped him. He was going to.
New York had some of the strictest COVID lockdowns in the country.
Cut aid to federal programs, and I stopped him. But you also want to be in a place where you can cooperate on good things because we need federal help if we're going to save our city and rebuild our city. President Trump has to respect you. He sent the National Guard into 20 cities. City he didn't send it into? New York. Because I talked to him and I said, we don't need you here.
This was like 5 years ago, maybe more. This is totally a different situation than the current situation.
He has said he'll take over New York if Mamdani wins, and he will, because he has no respect for him. He thinks he's a kid and he's going to knock him on his tuchus.
His tuchus.
So it is a balance, but you're going to have to be adversarial when you need to, but you want to cooperate to get good things done in this city, and you need...
He really flip-flops, so it sounds like he doesn't want to cooperate with Trump, but also he's saying he wants to cooperate with Trump. He said that like twice already now. It's interesting.
Federal help.
Mamdani.
All right, he got claps. He got claps.
We first just heard from the Republican candidate for mayor, and then we heard from Donald Trump's puppet himself, Andrew Cuomo. You could turn on TV any day of the week, and you will hear Donald Trump share that his pick for mayor is Andrew Cuomo. And he wants Andrew Cuomo to be the mayor, not because it will be good for New Yorkers, but because it will be good for him. Look, Donald Trump ran on 3 promises. He ran on creating the single largest deportation force in American history. He ran on going after his political enemies, and he ran on lowering...
He didn't run on going after his political enemies.
The cost of living. If he wants to talk to me about the 3rd piece of that agenda, I will always be ready and willing. But if he wants to talk about how to pursue the 1st and 2nd piece of that agenda at the expense of New Yorkers, I will fight him every single step of the way.
You, boo, boo.
Short rebuttal from Mr. Cuomo.
That's not what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump does an analysis of the race. Donald Trump, I believe, wants Mamdani. That is his dream, because he will use him politically all across the country, and he will take over New York City. Make no mistake. It will be President Trump and Mayor Trump, and he will come in and take over the city. I have no doubt. All he said was, his analysis is after the polls, it's a tough choice between a Democrat and a communist. And he considers Mamdani a communist. He happens...
Which is funny because Mamdani is actually the Democrat in the race.
...be a socialist, but between a communist and a Democrat, it's a tough choice for him.
Okay. All right. Thank you, candidates. Brian wants to talk to you about some important issues on the minds of New Yorkers.
Hi, candidates. Thank you for coming tonight.
Hi, candidates.
Yeah, and the cost of living is our next topic. You've all cited it as a major factor, and of course, so many New Yorkers are experiencing this, especially when it comes to rising housing costs. And many New Yorkers were shocked this week as a new report from the group Advocates for Children revealed that about 154,000 New York City public school students have been homeless at some point during the last year. 65,000 lived in homeless shelters. Even more were in doubled-up situations with no home of their own. It's never been over 150,000 before, they tell us. And it amounts to 1 in 7 New York City kids. As mayor, how would...
He's saying 1 in 7 New York City kids have experienced homelessness before. And he's going to be like, all right, candidates, in 45 seconds, tell us how you're going to fix this very complex issue. It's the whole setup of these debates is a joke, but let's hear their responses.
Each of you tackle this problem to help this vulnerable population. And in this round, we're going to go Mr. Mamdani, Mr. Cuomo, Mr. Sliwa. So Mr. Mamdani, you go first.
This is a stain on our city. To see this many children in our public school system be homeless, and to know that this is the 9th consecutive year that it's more than 100,000 of those children. What we need to do is ensure that next year is not the same. And we are going to do that by building the housing necessary such that New Yorkers are not priced out of this city or forced to live in shelters. And that's why my campaign is going to deliver 200,000 new affordable homes across the 5 boroughs, all while freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. Now, in the public school system, we also have a program called Every Child and Family is Known. It links a child who is living in a homeless shelter with an employee of the public school system. It also links that employee with the child's family. It's been shown to increase attendance records, self-esteem, a level of belonging in that school system. I am going to increase that pilot program to more than 200 schools, and we're going to do it because we have to deliver for these children.
All right, I'll say that was a good answer, although it does seem like being able to implement all of those policies and build 200,000 new units is going to be a leap. It's a little bit of a stretch if he can actually get all that done, but good answer. Not going to give anyone a point here yet.
Yeah. Zohran is a great actor. He missed his calling. Freeze the rent sounds great. Yeah, it affects about 25% of the number of housing units in the city of New York. It's not a new idea. Bill de Blasio did it. It turned out to be a debacle. And it does nothing for 75% of the units. And for the 25, it just postpones the increase and actually causes us to lose units because landlords took them off the market.
Ask you to address the homeless children question, and we will get to rent freeze.
Yeah, well, the answer to homeless children is you need more affordable housing. And
how do you do that?
Freeze the rent was
doesn't
done
work.
under de Blasio. It doesn't work.
So what are you going to do?
And just a great three-word slogan for TikTok. The way to increase availability of affordable housing is to build affordable housing. I was the HUD secretary. I did it all across the country. We have 1% vacancy rate. We're not building enough affordable housing, and you need a competent, productive government to do that, and that's what I've done across the.
So Cuomo and Mamdani both agree we should build more affordable housing in New York City. But which candidate do you believe will actually get that done? I feel like Mamdani is way more likely to actually fulfill that promise than Cuomo. I mean, it just took him forever to even get to that answer.
Country, across the state, make government work. You get the supply up, the rents will come down.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa. Okay, Mr. Mamdani, you were named, so you get 30 seconds.
We are in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 children in the New York City public school system being homeless. That means it began when Andrew Cuomo was the governor. And what did he do? What did he do about it? He did not do anything. He spent more money on a singing water fountain at LaGuardia Airport than he did on the average cost of an affordable housing unit. That is the record that we have in display, and what we need is a change in this city, not more of the same.
Yeah, but if I may.
Are these two just going to go back and forth the whole debate? I want to hear Sliwa talk.
The homeless issue, number of homeless since I left, has more than doubled during his administration and the state's administration.
All right.
Since I left, homeless rate has more than doubled. When I left, the vacancy rate on housing was 4.5%. It's now 1%. This man never even proposed a bill on housing or education. Never even proposed a bill.
Keep going back and forth between the two of you. Mr. Sliwa, it's your turn.
Andrew, you didn't leave. You fled from being impeached by the Democrats in the state legislature.
Got him.
You fled.
All right.
Let's get back on topic. Because
I'm not biased. That was a great
who's
response.
been into many of the over 300 Department of Homeless Services shelters, and the family shelters are unsafe for the families there.
They are unsafe. They're like really bad.
We have to make them safer. We have to bring teachers into the shelter. Many times, the mothers or the guardian have to get on bus after bus and take them to a school that's 2 or 2.5 hours away. This is a horror situation that's taking place. And we have to prioritize this because this number of homeless children is going to grow. It takes 5 years to build affordable housing. We need to address it in the shelters itself to be able to handle it so that the teachers can come in, whether they're public school teachers, charter school teachers, and I know there are a number of parochial school teachers who love children who would volunteer their efforts to do that.
We're going to give it to Katie Honan now.
Yeah, I really think he had the greatest. I think he had the best response there. He had the most realistic response.
You ask about another aspect of affordable housing.
We're going to switch to the millions of New Yorkers who are renters, specifically those in rent-regulated apartments. There are more than 1 million New Yorkers living in these units, most of them rent-stabilized. Mr. Mamdani, you've proposed a rent freeze for these tenants. Mr. Cuomo, you don't support that, and you've proposed a new means test for having a rent-stabilized apartment. Mr. Mamdani, our question, how can you know in advance what the balance between landlord needs and tenant needs will be in future years? We've seen a lot of inflation in recent years. Haven't small landlords felt that pinch as well? And then we have other questions for the other candidates.
So her question is, how are you going to support the small-time landlords? And it's like the average person doesn't give a fuck about their landlord. So I wonder who gave that question to her and told her to ask it.
You know, we've seen time and again mayors use their power with the Rent Guidelines Board to hike the rent on those same more than 2 million New Yorkers. This same Rent Guidelines Board did a study that found that landlords of those units had seen their profits increase by more than 12%. Their response? Hike the rent on rent-stabilized tenants who have a median household income of $60,000. I believe that tenants across our city deserve relief, and I also believe that city government can work to alleviate the pressures for landlords of those units without having to put that burden on those same tenants. It's possible to keep New Yorkers in this city and to help landlords with rising insurance costs, water bills, Con Edison, and a broken property tax system.
Thank you. Mr. Sliwa, what's your...
Not the worst answer. Probably the best answer you could give to a loaded question.
proposal for helping New Yorkers with the historically high rent burdens in either stabilized or market rate units?
Well, the first thing, we have 6,000 empty apartments in NYC. That is a sin. That's what the mayor can control right away. We need to move those families with children in. For those who live in...
So I've heard that a lot of these apartments are run down, and it's just not, profitable for the people who own these apartments to like bring them up to code, to let people live in them, to bring them up to like a quality of standard for like people to live in them. And that's why they're empty. So I don't know if his take is actually good here.
Rent stabilized apartments and have their rent subsidized, Zohran Mamdani. We need,
and it's not subsidized. That's just like a Republican like take. It's actually stabilized, which is different. The government's not paying these landlords. It's not subsidized by the government, but it is stabilized.
to make sure that the big realtors, that they have to pay a vacancy tax because they're holding off on those apartments and not putting them out into the marketplace because they want to flip the building. Not
a vacancy tax. I like that. So if you have a lot of vacant units in your building, you have to pay a tax on that to try to encourage these landlords to maybe lease at a lower price to fill those units. That's a good idea.
For the mid-sized landlords or the small landlords, they need the help. And there are a number of people in the outer boroughs. They own a home, they live on the property, they're not absentee landlords, 2, 3, 4 apartments, and they're deciding not to put them in the marketplace when somebody either leaves or dies because they have to deal with tenant-landlord court, which is an absolute nightmare for small landlords. We got to make sure it's a fair playing field so that the tenants are protected, but the landlords are protected so they're not stuck with squatters for 4, 5, or 6 years, which destroys their equity and forces them to leave.
Thank you. Mr.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that
You
stuff.
signed a law in 2019 repealing a means test to live in a rent-stabilized apartment. What's your position now, and what changed in that?
The 2019 law was added tenant protections that had never been added before, and protections against tenant evictions. But to answer your question, you cannot, Zohran said, the tenant doesn't have to pay more rent, but we're going to cover the landlord's costs. No, you can't do both, and that's not what happened. We did freeze the rent with de Blasio. We lost units because the landlords took them off the market because you weren't covering their costs. The reason the Rent Guidelines Board went up after the freeze was because you had to make up for all the backlog of costs. And this, I'm going to freeze the rent.
He has the right answer, but it's like half-baked. So he is true that some of these landlords can't afford the cost to bring these units up to date. Like, it is true. He's right about that. But how do you fix that? You know, I don't think he has the right answer there.
People think it applies to all of them. No, just the 25% of units that are rent stabilized. And by the way, it's all BS because the mayor doesn't have the power to do it anyway. The Rent Guidelines Board does, and he doesn't control the Rent Guidelines Board. So nothing is going to happen. It's all this. It's just more political blather.
Mr. Mamdani, you can respond.
You know, if you want a candidate for mayor who tells you everything that he cannot do, then Andrew Cuomo should be your choice. If you want a candidate for mayor who will use every tool at their disposal, including the 9 appointees at the Rent Guidelines Board, all of whom are appointed by the mayor, then I am the candidate for you.
We have to go to Errol, sir. I'm sorry, you weren't named, so I'm sorry. We're going to go to Errol to talk about development.
My name was invoked. Can I get the rebuttal? Quickly. Okay, quickly. The mayor doesn't appoint the Rent Guidelines Board. He's wrong. They are appointed to a term, and they're on holdovers. And when the term is over, you can appoint. But it takes a number of years to get control.
Okay, understood. Candidates, right now we are just blocks away from the site of the Long Island City rezoning plan, which has been under consideration for a decade at this point, and in its latest version would create 15,000 new apartments. That plan, like the recently passed City of Yes 5-borough rezoning, reflects a reality that hundreds of thousands of units, as many as 1 million new units, will be needed in New York City over the next 10 years. What is your plan to get new units built quickly? And the order of this will be Mr. Cuomo, then Mr. Sliwa, then Mr. Mamdani.
Yeah, Sliwa said before it takes 5 years to build affordable housing. No, it doesn't. No, it shouldn't.
How long does it take
then?
then?
Incompetent government. You can actually get competent government and well-managed government. I built LaGuardia Airport, even though he doesn't like it, in 4 years, okay? So don't tell me it takes 5 years to build a housing unit.
He might have had it opened in 4 years, but it was still under construction for much longer. But I get what he's saying.
You have to redo HPD. You have to change the entire organizational structure. You have the zoning, but you have to start hundreds, if not thousands, of sites simultaneously. Private sector developers, partner with not-for-profits, partner with CDCs, use city-owned sites, use air rights, make a deal with the unions. But this has to be the #1 priority. The way I did 2nd Avenue Subway or the Mario Cuomo Bridge or the Kosciuszko Bridge, this project is thousands of housing developments being accelerated, expedited, facilitated at one time. And we need 500,000 units. That's the way you're going to make New York City affordable and still allow the talent to come here.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa.
I'm the only candidate here on the stage who is opposed to the City of Yes. Both my adversaries are for it. Make
I don't know
sure
much about
on
it.
Election Day, when you turn over your ballot and you have the initiatives, you vote no. And you know how oftentimes I've been accused, how are you going to work with the Democratic-controlled city council? I, Adrian Adams, and the predominant Democrats, including many of them very liberal and progressive, believe no to yes. I have a simple plan. It takes a year. We have 25 Empire State buildings that would be empty and just have office space that'll never be used because business doesn't operate the way it used to. Retrofit them to affordable apartments. Most are in Manhattan. The infrastructure is there. You set up a partnership with developers. It'll put men and women to work, and you'll get your affordable apartments a lot quicker and not be a burden to the outer boroughs and the residential communities because you're in the back pockets, Andrew, of the developers who wine-dined and pocket-lined you.
Let me.
So I gotta say, this is my favorite response so far. So he's saying, basically after COVID, a lot of these businesses, like a lot of places went out of business or went work from home, and that retail rental market has never fully recovered. And he says, I don't know where he's getting these numbers from, but there's 25 Empire State Buildings worth of office space that's empty in New York City. And instead of building affordable housing, you could convert, hopefully all of it, but as much as you can, convert all of those empty retail leases, retail units into affordable housing. I actually think that's the best and, again, most realistic idea.
Ask you a follow-up on that, Mr. Sliwa. Do you think each elected city council member should have basically veto power over whether or not housing gets built in their district?
Absolutely. Local control. Community boards should have their say. What happened to zoning? We throw it out. Eric Adams. This city of yes is on steroids, and he went wild taking care of his developer friends as he knew he would be one and done. I told you he was corrupt. I told you there would be chaos, and I warned you in 2021. You should have elected me mayor then.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani.
I don't know if I would argue that Eric Adams is any more corrupt than any other mayor of New York City.
We need to build more housing all across New York City. Today, New York City builds about 4 houses for 1,000 people. Jersey City's at 7. Tokyo is at about 10. We need to do this by streamlining the processes of private sector construction across the city, by ensuring we're building more around hubs of mass transit. And we also need to ensure that the public sector is building truly affordable housing. And what I mean by truly affordable is housing that is built with the median household income in mind, which is $70,000 for a family of 4. And that's why my administration will do exactly that, scaling up programs we already had in HPD, like senior affordable rental apartments, SARA, like Ella, extremely low-level affordability. These are the kinds of programs that will deliver a city that New Yorkers can actually afford.
There was reference to the 3 housing-related charter amendment questions. I know Mr. Cuomo is on the record as saying he favors them. We just heard Mr. Sliwa say that he's against them. Where do you stand on those?
I'm appreciative that those measures will be on the ballot and that New Yorkers will be able to cast their votes for them. I know that we desperately need to build more housing in this city, and I also know that the jobs we create in the building of that housing should be good jobs as well.
What a political answer. What is your opinion, Zohran?
Yes or no?
What is your
Yes or no, Zohran? What is it?
Don't be a politician here.
I got it. They're pointing out what I was about to when they didn't answer the question.
No, I think on the stage you can see 2 people
They're grilling him for not giving a straight answer.
appealing for the Republican Party's votes and myself.
Answer the question. Answer the question for once.
My question to you was, do you support the 3 ballot amendment questions?
I have not yet taken a position on those ballot amendments.
Oh my God.
What a shock.
That's a loss. Don't be a little bitch boy. Just make a choice. Stand by it. You do have a position. You just don't want to tell us because you're trying to become the mayor.
Shocker.
All right.
What a shocker.
We're going to move on.
Don't worry. Once he takes it, he'll change it anyway.
We're going to move it on. We're going to move on. The candidates, the rhetoric on the campaign trail has become more heated in recent weeks. We have reached a point where 2 of the candidates on stage here tonight have armed security. I would like to spend a few minutes to see if we can dial down the rhetoric. Mr. Mamdani, some Jewish New Yorkers continue to say that your comments on Israel and the war in Gaza leave them feeling
This is going to be the
unsafe
best
and concerned
part.
about their future
They're getting into Israel. This is going to be the best part.
in our city. Recently, several prominent New York rabbis took the unusual step of denouncing your candidacy, including the rabbi of the Park Avenue Synagogue in Manhattan and Rabbi Michael Miller, the longtime leader of the Jewish Community Relations Council, who is a friend to many of us. Do you have any regrets about how you've dealt with these issues? And will your longstanding views on the subject get in the way of your ability to be an effective mayor?
I look forward.
Okay, we got to go back. I'm sorry.
The campaign trail has become more heated in security. I would like to spend a few minutes to see if we can comment on Israel and the war in Gaza, leave them feeling unsafe and concerned about their future in our city. Recently, several prominent New York rabbis took the unusual step of denouncing your candidate.
Okay, I don't think it's unusual for Jewish rabbis to denounce the Muslim candidate. I don't see that as, I mean, it's the only reason it's unusual is because Mamdani is like the first Muslim mayoral New York City candidate that has a chance of winning. But I don't see that as unusual.
To see include about the way of your ability to be an effective mayor.
I look forward to being a mayor for every single person that calls this city home. Not just those who voted for me in the Democratic primary, not just those that vote for me in this general election, but all 8.5 million New Yorkers.
I believe him when he says that.
Jewish New Yorkers who may have concerns or opposition to the positions that I've shared about Israel and Palestine. You know, just a few weeks ago, I was on the M57, the slowest bus in New York City. And as I was seated there, there was a speech therapist who was sitting next to me. She told me that she was Jewish. She said that her daughter was a huge fan, but that she was not yet decided on who she was going to vote for. And she shared to me about her fears in this city, about rising anti-Semitism. And I told her what I will tell New Yorkers today, which is that I will be the mayor who doesn't just protect Jewish New Yorkers, but also celebrates and cherishes them, who doesn't just increase funding to hate crime prevention programs by 800%, who doesn't just ensure that the NYPD are outside of synagogues and temples on the high holy days, but also actually delivers on the implementation of the Hidden Voices curriculum in our school system, so that children in this city learn about the beauty and the breadth of the Jewish experience right here in the 5 boroughs.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that stuff. But also that lady on the bus, that he brought up that example in the last debate. So it just makes it sound like he's only talked to one Jewish New Yorker this whole campaign. Bad example.
I've got a different. Yeah, but can I just comment on that, please? You know, not everything is a TikTok video. You're the savior of the Jewish people. You won't denounce globalize the intifada, which means kill Jews. There's unprecedented fear in New York. It was not several rabbis, Errol.
I wouldn't say there's unprecedented fear in New York.
It was 650 rabbis who signed the letter, not several.
Let me ask
I wonder
you
if that's true
a
or
related
not.
question, Mr. Cuomo. Many New Yorkers have serious grievances with Israel and the way the Israeli government under Benjamin Netanyahu has conducted the war in Gaza.
Oh, he said it.
And expanded settlements in the West Bank.
Oof.
What would you say to and how would you handle New Yorkers who are in the streets, if you were mayor, protesting the actions of the Netanyahu government?
Fine. That's your right. Protest, demonstrate, disagree. God bless America. God bless New York City. And there is no doubt that there's two sides on what's going on, and the passions are very high. That doesn't justify anti-Semitic behavior in New York. It doesn't.
Yeah, but is protesting Bibi, are you going to consider that anti-Semitic?
Justify having a Jewish population that feels unprotected in New York. It doesn't justify leaders who stoke the flames of hatred against Jewish people, which is what Zohran does, in my opinion.
I'll give him a chance to answer, and then we'll go to.
Sure if you saw the news, but Fox News is claiming President Trump is declining in the polls, and President Trump.
Mr. Sliwa.
You know, I've heard from Jewish New Yorkers about their fears about anti-Semitism in this city. And what they deserve is a leader who takes it seriously, who roots it out of these 5 boroughs, not one who weaponizes it as a means by which to score political points on a debate stage.
Mr. Sliwa.
Excuse me, Mr. Cuomo, it's my turn. All right?
It's my turn.
2 kids in a schoolyard.
Yeah, I heard you on the radio this morning.
Zohran, this is personal for me. I know you are under threat. The mother of my 2 youngest sons who are raised Jewish, Melinda Katz, is prosecuting this person who came up and tried to do you harm. But let me speak on behalf of my 2 sons. When they've heard some of the statements you've made, like in support of global jihad, and I hear some people out there saying the Jews, their time is due, which means the same thing. They're frightened, they're scared. They view you as the arsonist who fanned the flames
They're all going for that Jewish vote right now is what's happening.
of anti-Semitism. They cannot suddenly accept the fact that you're coming in like a firefighter and you're going to put out these flames. You've got a lot of explaining to do, a lot of apologizing to do.
He was coached on this response.
My sons are afraid. Their family, their friends, many in the Jewish community are concerned if you become mayor because they don't think when anti-Semitism rears its ugly head, which it's now doing more than ever before, that you will have the ability to come in and put out those flames of hate.
Okay, yeah, you can.
That's a loss for our boy Sliwa. He's pandering to the Jewish vote because he really needs it if he wants a chance at winning.
I think there is room for disagreement on many positions and many policies, but I also want to correct the record.
Oh, and sorry, we got to give a loss to Mamdani when he wouldn't make a clear... Oh, we already did. Never mind. My bad.
I have never, not once, spoken in support of global jihad. That is not something that I have said, and that continues to be ascribed to me, and frankly, I think much of it has to do with the fact that I am the first Muslim candidate to be on the precipice of winning.
Oh, he's flipping it. He's like, I'm not anti-Semitic. You guys are anti-Muslim.
This election. Now, all the same, Curtis, I do still want to be the mayor that will keep your sons safe, that will keep every single New Yorker safe. And it is my job to not only deliver.
He's been very consistent on that he does care about all New Yorkers.
On that commitment, but also to ensure that New Yorkers feel it every single day that they live in this city.
Okay, candidates, Brian's going to take us into
I
the
believe
next
it.
section.
I'm going to give him a point.
And the next section is some individual political questions, one for each of you. Let me start with you, Mr. Cuomo, then Katie will ask a question of Mr. Sliwa and Errol to Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Cuomo, the last time most New Yorkers saw you before this campaign was when you resigned your seat as governor under scandal in 2021.
Ooh.
The most recent Quinnipiac University poll in this race shows that 54% of likely voters say you're unethical. Meanwhile, you also have strained.
Yeah, Cuomo is unethical.
Relation.
It was like 13 sexual harassment cases against him, and like killing some ladies or some old people in nursing homes, as well as giving tax breaks to his like billionaire friends.
With Governor Hochul, State Attorney General Letitia James, and others, what would you say right now to New Yorkers who have questions about your moral compass and concerns that you cannot effectively work with other elected officials?
Yeah, well, first, you somewhat misstated the facts, but I resigned because there was allegations made. I didn't want to waste the time and distract state government.
And we all know this. If you're innocent, you don't resign. You don't plead guilty. You fight it. People that are innocent are the ones that usually fight it till the very end. So it does make him look guilty that he did resign. It's kind of like an admission of guilt.
I knew it was going to take a long time to sort out. I left, which I thought was respectful to state government. We sorted it out legally. Nothing came from any of the allegations. I was dropped from cases. You know that. We've had this discussion 4 times.
That's true. There was just a case, but it is true. Nothing came of it. He's not like a convicted sexual harasser or anything. It didn't go anywhere. He's right about that.
But you like to talk about the past rather than yesterday. I chose
Governor
Kathy Hochul. I would have no problem working with her. The legislature, I got 11 budgets passed on time, most in modern political history. They haven't gotten one done on time since I was there. So don't tell me who knows how to work with the legislature.
I wonder if that's true or not.
Being able to deal with that legislature is key. Because don't kid yourself, I've watched every governor and mayor since Ed Koch. There is a tension between the city and the state. The city's arguing for its budgets, the state is saying no, and the city has been getting screwed by the state, and that has to change, and the city has to be doing better. Thank you.
If you're going statewide, it doesn't really matter for this debate because this is for like New York City mayor, but a lot of people in New York State feel like New York City gets maybe too much of the like state funds because it's just such a big influential city. So if you live in the city, you obviously think that the city should get more state funds. If you don't live in the city but you live in the state, you think the opposite. So who knows?
Katie?
To many New Yorkers, you've often presented yourself as more of a well-known New York character than a serious policy expert. Your critics have said your candidacy is making it more likely that Zohran Mamdani can win the election. What do you say to them and to others who feel that while your name recognition has seen a boost, your candidacy is not helpful to New Yorkers, including those who share your views?
I would like to respond to this first of all before him. But like anyone who believes that they can be mayor and who's made it this far in the race absolutely is totally justified in continuing on with the race. Just because he and Cuomo have similar views, and it's splitting that like moderate vote, doesn't mean that he should drop out. So everyone votes for Cuomo to give him a shot at winning, just because Mamdani's a communist and you don't want him to win. If Sliwa really believes that he could be a good mayor, he should stay in. And there's, honestly, in my opinion, for anyone to tell him to drop out to save the city from a communist is like anti-democratic. Like anyone who believes that they want to run for mayor can run for mayor, and he's made it this far. So there's absolutely no reason for him to drop out.
Number one, I have 13 campaign offices open. I'm throughout the outer boroughs. You see the excitement and energy of the working class people that I represent. I am the Republican populist candidate representing the working class.
He's like a moderate Republican.
And I'm also, Katie, the candidate on the independent line, first ever, put together by my wife, Nancy, who loves animals like so many. Save the animals, no-kill shelters, animal abusers go to jail. So people know that I'm not just
and like animals isn't really an election issue in New York City.
Running to protect people, which has been my life as leader of the Guardian Angels. I'm there to protect our pets and animals. Because remember, Mahatma Gandhi said, a society that does not take care of its animals does not take care of its people. Homeless, emotionally disturbed, veterans. I'm out there every day tending to their
Is he saying that homeless people are animals? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Needs with the Guardian Angels, doing things that the city and state should have been doing a long time ago, but neglected them and instead spent $7 billion on migrants that we don't even know. That is a disgrace.
Agreed.
We should be there for our own people who are suffering and
agree with that. Absolutely.
Wallowing in desperation and despair.
Okay, Mr. Mamdani. You have criticized the politics of the past where leaders either avoid taking a stand on a key issue or try to be all things to all people. But at times during this campaign, you've carefully avoided answering tough questions. We saw an instance just a few minutes ago when I asked about how you plan to vote on those ballot initiatives next month. We've asked whether you support a major rezoning push for part of Queens, some of which is in your district. You've been unclear about how you think the city schools should be run, its governance structure. How is that different from politics as usual?
When it comes to our schools, I believe that every single child deserves to have an excellent public education. And we have not seen that under the stewardship of those schools with this mayoral administration. We have not seen it because we are not fully funding those schools. We are not on track to comply with the class size mandates of those schools. We are not even on track to ensure greater literacy levels across those schools, despite the strides that have been taken with NYC REITs.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
When it comes to rezoning, I've been very clear that I will always celebrate the addition of additional housing units across the city. I also believe that Gantry State Park and Queensbridge Park should be one contiguous park. Those are things that one can believe at the same time. And my critiques of the politics of the past is right here on the stage. You can see in Andrew Cuomo someone who had 10 years to deliver on so much of what he's spoken about. He says that taking 5 years to build affordable housing is the sign of an incompetent government. By his own words, that means he must have led an incompetent government. That is what we are seeing, because that is the record that is actually on offer.
That's funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand my friend doesn't really understand government. The governor doesn't build housing in New York City.
Not if it's you.
No, no, legally, there are jurisdictions. The governor doesn't pick up trash. He doesn't run the fire department. That's what the mayor does. The mayor builds housing. The state allocates funding for localities. And I allocated more funding for housing than any governor in the history of the state of New York. All right? I did things. You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything. There's no...
That's not true. He's had a job.
No reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives.
And you don't need to be the mayor of New York City. You don't need any qualifications. So just the fact that he's saying Mamdani's not qualified and Mamdani's never had a job, First of all, he has had a job, and second of all, he is qualified. So that's a loss for Cuomo.
You don't know how to run a government, you don't know how to handle an emergency, and you've literally never proposed a bill on anything that you're now talking about in your campaign. You had the worst attendance record in the assembly, and you gave yourselves the highest raise in the United States of America. You went from 110,000 to 140,000.
And highest raise in United States of America. I mean, you gotta be more specific, Cuomo. That's just not true.
And then you never showed up for work, and you missed 80% of the votes. Shame on you.
Is that true? Did Mamdani really miss 80% of the assembly votes?
Shame on you.
No, it is always a pleasure to hear Andrew Cuomo create his own facts at every debate stage.
Right, there's no way that's true.
We just had a former governor say in his own words that the city has been getting screwed by the state. Who was leading the state? It was you. You were leading the state for 10 years, screwing the city.
No.
You cut homelessness funding. You cut funding for the MTA. You did all of these things.
So these two guys are saying different things, and I'm not familiar with the correct facts. So one of them is a liar, maybe both. But there's no way they're both telling the truth, so I don't really know. I'm sure the truth is somewhere in between. I'm sure, I kind of believe that Cuomo didn't cut funding for affordable housing. I believe he did increase it, but I also believe that Mamdani was there for more than 80% of the votes in the New York state assembly. So I think they're both telling a little bit of truth. Who's lying more? I don't really know. I'm not up to date on all these things.
The past 4 years. It's the past.
But I will say, which candidate is acting the most professional? He's over here on the right, off screen.
4 years.
Okay, guys, I didn't want to have to do this, but you understand how this works. You can't talk over each other. Nothing works if you do that. I believe we've heard your response. I wanted to give you a quick word.
We've heard enough from both of them.
Heard the both of them again fighting like kids in the schoolyard.
Yep.
Zohran, your resume could fit on a cocktail napkin.
Hey, you want to keep that resume one page, easy readability.
And Andrew, your failures could fill a public school library in New York City.
Okay, go ahead, Katie.
That's so
funny.
funny.
We're going to move now to public safety. And there was some breaking news from the New York Times that you, Mr. Mamdani, would ask Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch to stay on as police commissioner if you are indeed mayor. I wanted to confirm if that was true. And for Mr. Cuomo and Mr. Sliwa, would you ask the current police commissioner to stay on if you were elected? So, Mr. Mamdani, we'll start with you.
Yes, I can confirm that reporting. My administration will be relentless in its pursuit of safety and affordability for every New Yorker. And the delivery of that will require us to put together a team of the best and the brightest. Eric Adams stacked the upper echelons of the NYPD with corruption and incompetence. Commissioner Tisch took on a broken status quo, started to deliver accountability, rooting out corruption and reducing.
Real quick, I would argue that Eric Adams actually made the police force a lot stronger and better.
Crime across the 5 boroughs. I've said time and again that my litmus test for that position will be excellence, and the alignment will be of that position. And I am confident that under a Mamdani administration, we would continue to deliver on that same mission and do so while creating the Department of Community Safety to ensure that mental health experts were the ones.
Oh, he's trying to create a new department. God damn it.
Responding to the mental health crisis, because safety and justice is at the cornerstone of our pursuit of public safety, and in doing so, we will also be able to deliver our agenda for affordability.
Thank you. And very briefly, quickly, Mr. Sliwa and Mr. Cuomo, would you ask Commissioner Tisch to stay on if you were elected mayor?
Yes, I would, for stability, but then again, I don't think she would serve with either Cuomo or Zohran, because she has railed against no cash bail. Cuomo, the architect of no cash bail, Zohran, the apprentice of no cash bail.
Boo.
That's why criminals are running in the street.
And Mr. Cuomo, would you ask her to stay on?
He's right. No cash bail sucks.
I would ask her to stay on. I don't believe Zohran when he says he would ask her to stay on. The DSA's position, his position has been to defund, disband the police. She wouldn't take that. His current position, today's position was freeze the budget. That would cause a reduction in police. She has called for more police. I've called for more police. Mayor Adams has called for more police. So their philosophies are totally incongruous. DSA calls for eliminating misdemeanors. He wants to decriminalize prostitution. I don't think she would support any of it.
And he said in the last debate he doesn't want to decriminalize it.
Well, we can't speak for her. She's not here. But I will ask the public safety question. And we'll start with you, Mr. Sliwa. The issues of crime and disorder on the streets. The NYPD says the crime is going down in all major categories, most major categories, but to New Yorkers, they're still concerned with disorder and their own unique perception of crime. Do you think addressing quality of life concerns helps prevent more serious crimes? And how would you deploy the city's police force to deal with those serious violent crimes and also quality of life offenses like disorderly conduct and retail theft? Mr. Sliwa.
First off, I've been in all 350 neighborhoods. I'm the only candidate that's on the subway each and every day. I've yet to hear from one New Yorker who said they feel safer either in the subways or the streets. And Eric Adams constantly heckling at us like it's the perception. No, it's the reality of crime. We need 7,000 police officers. We are badly understaffed. We need to get police officers in the subways actually patrolling the moving cars where people are most threatened and most frightened. And we need to bring back the homeless outreach unit that was disbanded when de Blasio took $1 billion out of the budget. These were men and women police officers who already had with them medical nurses and healthcare practitioners, but it was de Blasio who abolished it, and they've been talking about bringing something back ever since, but they never do it because I'm out there in the subways every day and I never see it. And when I'm mayor, it gets done on day one, the homeless outreach.
So it does sound like he wants to bring in another like state-funded program, but this one I don't support. But it does make more sense. He's saying we need to fund people that go around and find these homeless people and pick them up, bring them to a shelter, try to get them help. It's not a crazy take. I just, I don't know how much good it will actually do. A lot of these homeless people, the whole reason they're homeless in the first place is because they can't adhere to these shelters' rules and they end up getting kicked out or never admitted in the first place because, they're drug addicts or violent or just like completely dysfunctional and need like literally to be institutionalized, which isn't really a thing that happens in the States anymore. So it's hard to say if this would be a good idea or a bad idea, but I will say if he implements this, taxpayers will pay for it.
Unit is put back into the NYPD.
Thank you. Mr. Mamdani.
When I hear from New Yorkers of where they feel least safe, they will often tell me the subway system.
Absolutely.
And when they explain those moments to me, what they are often explaining is a mental health crisis in our city and a crisis of homelessness that has only continued to grow. And that is why, at the heart of our public safety agenda, is a groundbreaking proposal to not only reduce crime, but address these very moments of unease for New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs by creating a Department of Community Safety that will be focused on the mental health crisis, focused on homelessness, and will ensure that police officers can focus on serious crimes. Because in 2020...
That just sounds like waste, fraud, and abuse to me. I doubt that committee would actually get any real progress done, but I hope to be wrong, but that's just how I feel.
The response time for those officers was less than 11 minutes. Today, it's closer to 16 minutes, and that's because
even 11 minutes is still too long.
Every year, they are now responding to 200,000 mental health calls when those are calls that could by and large be taken by experts trained on responding to that very crisis.
Thank you, Mr.
Maybe.
Cuomo.
That's kind of that's not really a solidly proven concept, but maybe. Again, I don't know. That's kind of one of those drastic changes that a vote for Mamdani is a vote for. If he does become mayor, he will try to do things that are a little sorry, I wouldn't say any of them are crazy, but they're a little unprecedented. But that doesn't mean they're good or bad. It's just they're different. And will they work is kind of yet to be seen because these things haven't been implemented yet. So who knows? I don't know.
The answer is always a new government agency. It's manage the system.
Yeah, I don't like that. New government agencies. That's just a waste of taxpayer funds for the most part.
Manage the public safety system. We know how to do this. Mayor David Dinkins did it when we had a real crime problem. Hire more police officers. Of course, you have to deal with the mentally ill. Of course, that requires mental health specialists with police, because the situation can be dangerous. But hire the 5,000 more cops, because they're all quitting, because they're getting worked too hard. You're going to have to raise the starting salary, because nobody wants to be a cop today, the way they're treated. Put 1,500 in the subways. Forget this Zohran idea of not prosecuting misdemeanors. Prosecute misdemeanors. Those are quality of life crimes. And that's very important. Yes, the subways are scary, but it's scary in their neighborhood too. Those quality of life crimes also have to be addressed.
Mr. Mamdani.
Kind of a half-baked answer, but I get what he's saying. Even today, I went out to get a coffee, and it was like, 11 a.m. or like around noon. And as I'm walking back to my apartment, I see like a lady in the middle of the street. Her hair is like crazy, and she's just standing there. And there's like a mailman in a delivery truck, like trying to drive down the street, and she just starts screaming at the mail truck, and the mailman just saying, do it, like run me over, do it. And then a couple seconds later, she just walks away, answers the phone, and she just says like, hello, like everything's fine. And it's like, there is this like weird shit that you see when you go outside in public in New York City that like you don't really see in other places, but it's just like a daily occurrence. It's not like violent, but it's just weird shit. So when he talks about the communities there as well as the subways, he's not wrong. It's New York is just such a different instance compared to other American cities that it's like all these people might have the right solutions, but who knows? Because I don't fucking know how to fix, like this kind of shit. Or is even what that lady did to the mailman even a bad thing? Or is that just the least drastic outcome in a city this big and diverse? Like, I don't know. Is it even a problem? I don't even know.
No matter how many times Andrew Cuomo describes it as my idea or my policy, I have never once stated that we were not going to prosecute misdemeanors. And that is what you see from the former governor, is someone who spends more time talking about the platforms of other organizations and other individuals than the one that I've actually put forward or the one that he is supposed to be running on.
Now we'll hear from Brian for another question.
Excuse me 1 second. Can I just
let me respond? I'm Cuomo.
Can I just respond to that accusation?
When it's misdemeanors or felonies, no cash bail releases him back into the streets. And both of you afford no cash bail.
All
right. So what is right? No cash bail is terrible. And he's brought that up a couple times, and neither of these other candidates can defend it. We got to give it to him.
I want to move on. You'll get your opportunities, I think, because I want to bring up a particular crime concern, and that is violence among younger New Yorkers, specifically teenagers. My question is, what is your stance on the statewide Raise the Age law, which increased the age of adult criminal responsibility from 16 years old to 18 for most crimes? Police Commissioner Tisch says, quote, the mentality on the street is that nothing happens to those under 18 who possess a gun. So would you support modifying Raise the Age in any way? And Mr. Mamdani, since you just announced that you would invite Commissioner Tisch to stay on, would you go along with her on this?
I would not support changes to the state's legislation, and I would not support them because the major issue with the implementation of that legislation has been the fact that there is hundreds of millions of dollars that was supposed to be delivered alongside that law that is still languishing in Albany. And I am excited to be the next mayor of the city to finally fight for the money that this city is owed to ensure that we deliver it to our young people across.
So his take is he's going to get funding that was withheld from the city by the state. And it's like, it's already being withheld. Do you really think you're going to change Albany's mind and get that funding from the state? I mean, it's a stretch.
Across the 5 boroughs.
Mr. Cuomo.
What I was referring to before is Zohran is a member of the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. They have a charter. He gives them 3% of his salary. He has said multiple times, I'm a DSA member, I pledge allegiance. They say abolish jails, defund police, don't enforce misdemeanors. Go to my website, andrewcuomo.com. It's right on the front page. Now, is he lying to the DSA? Is he lying to New Yorkers? Is he lying to everybody? Who knows? On the raise the age, I passed the law. I support the law. We were one of only 2 states that put 16 and 17-year-olds in adult prisons. It was inhumane. It was cruel and unusual, and I'm proud of that law. It's administered by local governments. Some are doing it better than others. If Zohran thought that there was money locked up in Albany, maybe he should have gone to Albany and proposed a bill to release it.
Mr. Sliwa.
Once again, the architect of Raise the Age, Governor Cuomo, the apprentice to him, Zohran. It's personal for me. My oldest son, Anthony, last October was the victim of a vicious gang assault that could have killed him. And what happened to these juveniles? Cut free because they went to family court, not criminal.
And there's even the very popular case of a bunch of migrants beating up NYPD, and they got let out on that no cash bail the same day. He's not wrong. Everyone wants to be nice to criminals, but sometimes that's actually not the answer. You need deterrence.
Court. So how can both of you look at me? I almost lost my oldest son to gang violence, and the perpetrators went to family court and got a little pat on the wrist and was sent home to do it again and again. No.
Get him, so
we need to start charging juveniles who commit violent crime in criminal court, and I'll appoint criminal court judges who follow the law and don't just release them because of no cash bail.
Clear difference between you on that. Ms. Errol, you pick it up.
Okay, candidates, I've got individual questions for you, and we're going to try and pick up the pace a little bit here. I'd like you to...
I got to say, Sliwa is on point tonight. And Mamdani is not able to give yes or no responses. And then Cuomo is just more nothing burger. That's what he always is.
Really just explain kind of where you're coming from. Mr. Mamdani, you've called for reorganizing the NYPD to create this Department of Community Safety that, among other things, would handle calls involving people in mental health distress. Your opponents have disparaged this as sending social workers rather than cops into dangerous situations like domestic violence disputes. Explain really what you have in mind, and please include any evidence that this approach would work.
Absolutely. What my opponents are clinging to is the past, because that's all that they know. What I am proposing is something that will address the needs of New Yorkers in the present. We speak and hear from New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs who outline how the mental health crisis is one of the major challenges in this city. And yet what we have in our city is asking those same police officers who are being asked to respond to shootings, respond to murders, to also respond to these calls. I trust the dispatchers who would be receiving these calls to make the determination as to whether there was any indication of violence. If there is no indication of a threat of violence, then we would set the mental health experts and providers to respond to those same incidents. The reason I believe in the efficacy of this approach is because of the fact that it has been delivered elsewhere in the country. So no matter how often you hear those on this stage tell you that something cannot be done, know that there are others in this same country who have seen it, and it is time for that same policy to come to New York City.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa
that
and
was
Mr.
half-baked.
Cuomo, I have a similar question for both of you. The department currently fields about 33,000 officers, down from 37,000 in 2018. Public safety budget approaching $10 billion. Mr. Sliwa, you want to hire 7,000 more cops. Mr. Cuomo says 5,000 more cops. Each of you make the case for why you think that's necessary, especially given the fact that for much of New York City, crime declines over the last 20 years happened while the size of the force was also declining and not rising.
Errol, I have
Interesting point. So the announcer there is saying, over the years, crime has gone down, and over the years, the police force has also gradually gone down. So why do you guys want to bring on more police or social workers to deal with crime? How are you going to justify it and pay for it? That's a good-ass question. I never thought about that.
to revisit the last debate for a second when Zohran was basing this policy on what they do in Eugene, Oregon.
Right, and what they do in Eugene, Oregon has not brought down the mental health crisis, but it just has brought down the calls that police have to respond to. But people are still responding to them, they're just social workers. But the mental health crisis has not gotten any better. So, in my opinion, waste of taxpayer funds.
You've never been to Eugene, Oregon. I have. Are you out of your mind? And then Columbus, Ohio. This is New York City, a major metropolitan area.
Totally different.
With thousands of 911 calls, domestic abuse, emotionally disturbed persons, and you want to have social workers go out there and risk their life. And by the way, they're not going to get the results that a trained professional police officer can get. That's why we so desperately need 7,000 new cops. We'll use the Boston model, which is pay now in lieu of taxes. They do it at Harvard University, and the other university will raise $1 billion, get them vetted, trained, and out into the streets so they can be seen in all the neighborhoods, and most importantly, do the job they were sworn to do. And I will make sure that their insurance, the qualified immunity that was stripped from them, the only civil servants who are not protected by the taxpayer, is returned so that they can freely go out and do what they were trained to do, is to protect all of the people of New York City.
Okay, Mr. Cuomo.
There is nothing new here. We've had mentally ill, homeless people going back to the Billy Boggs case, right, under the Ed Koch administration. I ran homeless services not just for David Dinkins, but also for President Clinton. I've worked in every state, all the large cities, on all homeless programs. I've spent dozens of nights out trying to bring mentally ill people in. It can be done with mental health workers and police workers. You cannot tell from a phone call if a person is going to be dangerous. And I have seen personally many.
So that's actually wrong, because what happens when you call 911? They say, do you need the police or do you need emergency services? And you say, oh, there's a drunk dude outside. I just need like an ambulance. Or you say, I'm getting robbed. I need police. So he's wrong. People do that every day. They make that judgment.
Times a person who seemed very calm and sedate explode into rage. Why? Because that's sometimes a symptom of mental illness. So there's nothing new here. It just has to be done and managed. Yes, you need more police. You need more police, first of all, Errol, because they're quitting, because there are not enough to staff the force, and they're working overtime and weekends, and their family life is destroyed. So you have the highest attrition rate in modern history. You have to hire 5,000.
I believe they also got rid of qualified immunity in New York City. And that's what people say is one of the reasons that there's this attrition rate, is that basically if you're a police officer in New York City and fuck up, you will get punished, and you'll probably get punished more severely than a lot of these misdemeanor criminals because of the whole no cash on bail. And so it's hard for New York City to recruit police right now.
Just to slow down the attrition.
Okay, thank you, candidate.
40,000 beds for mental health in the state hospital system. By the time you fled fearing impeachment, you cut the budget down to 4,000 beds. Shame on you for putting those emotionally
I don't know a lot about that.
in the street.
You don't know what you're doing. Well, there's one bet I'm going to say for you, but no one is saying to go back to Willowbrook. That's when there were 40,000 people in mental institutions. Yeah. We left that.
Yeah, what happened to the mental institutions? There's there is not facilities in New York City to care for 40,000 mental patients right now. Like, if there was, maybe things would be different.
40 years ago when we went to community-based housing.
We're going to stay in this century, guys. Yeah. The next, well, we're going to do our lightning round where each candidate will answer our questions with a brief response.
Please talk about Israel. I need good content. Please, C-SPAN.
It's usually yes or no. I'm going to do the first couple. Candidates, if you had the power, would you keep, kill, or modify the congestion pricing program? Just say one of those.
All right. If I were up here for the congestion pricing, I think I would keep it and try to expand it. But it does come at a cost to a lot of people, and I would give exemptions for city workers like firefighters, police, or just like government officials, anyone who works for the city, even like, sanitation department. Give exemptions for people that it might actually cause a financial issue to, because the congestion pricing is expensive. And say you work for the city, but you live outside the city and you commute in and you don't make a lot of money because you work for the city, you don't work for like Wall Street. It is really going to affect you. So in my opinion, expand congestion pricing if you can without getting sued. Donald Trump has said he's against it and wants to end it, but he hasn't yet, but he's threatened to. So it does have a lot of pushback from the rest of the government outside of like New York City. But again, if you can give exemptions to people that like work for the city that it would cause like financial hardships on, and expand on it at the same time, I think that's what I would do.
Those words: keep, kill, or modify. Mr. Sliwa.
One and done, dead.
Mr. Mamdani.
The Republican says it's dead.
Okay. Would you expand, decrease, or keep the same number of so-called safe injection sites for drug users in the city? Mr. Mamdani.
Oh yeah, you got to get rid of those. There actually is an executive order that they like you need to stop doing that. We've covered that on the channel. I believe if you continue to provide these safe injection sites, you're gonna lose out on federal funding. And so this is one of those takes. Do you want to try to fight Donald Trump and lose out on federal funding that the city desperately needs, or do you want to try and work with him? I wish that was a bigger voter issue for voters, but it doesn't seem to be. Everyone just says like, oh, definitely fight Trump 100%, even if it makes it worse for the city, which I think is a bad take.
Can you say the options again?
Expand, decrease, or keep the same?
Keep the same.
Mr. Cuomo.
Keep.
Close them down.
Okay. The last two mayors proposed allocating 1% of the city budget for parks. Will you make the same pledge here tonight, Mr. Sliwa?
And another 2%. Keep your hands off the parks, you greedy.
He would double the parks budget, the Republican candidate. Very interesting.
1%.
Mr. Cuomo. 1%. Okay.
2%.
Okay.
Another lightning round question. The city recently enacted a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit for e-bikes. And of course, there are the other motorized two-wheelers that also frequently ignore red lights and other traffic laws. If you were mayor, would you...
Oh, yeah. To solve this problem, just have the police enforce e-bikes that run red lights. Like, people do it all the time, but no one ever gets a ticket for it because everyone's like, oh, they're just on a bike. It's not a big deal that they ran a red light, or even a moped. Just have the police enforce it, and like this problem is solved.
Direct the NYPD to ramp up speeding tickets and other moving violations on the motorized two-wheelers, Mr. Cuomo?
Yes. Look, this is a dangerous situation for many people.
Mr. Mamdani, yes or no?
I would actually build on the city council's progress in holding the apps accountable like DoorDash and Grubhub to ensure that there weren't incentives for breaking those.
Oh, that's a cool idea. So he's saying if a delivery driver is on like an e-bike going over 50 miles an hour and the app picks up on that, they should do something to the driver. I don't know, report them so the government can give them a ticket, or like tell them they're going to get fired unless they slow down.
So you would not increase ticketing the riders?
I do not think the police should be the ones dealing with the failure.
That's their job.
of these app companies.
Mr. Sliwa.
No, the app companies are incentivized for the drivers to go faster, you dumbass. It's the police's job to give them tickets.
License them, register them, and yes, do enforcement on them.
All right. There is a ballot question to align mayoral election years with presidential election years in the future. Do you support this, Mr. Sliwa?
Absolutely not. All the attention would go to the presidential election, not to the mayoral election and all the down-ballot elections, all of our city council people.
That's a no, Mr. Mamdani.
I haven't yet taken a position on any of the ballot referendums.
Oh, shocker.
Boo.
Same answer as
Again and again and again. Yes.
Katie.
Thank you so much. First question, do you support having a casino in the 5 boroughs, like it's a full casino, and do you have a favorite among the 3 current contenders?
Coney
Mr. Sliwa.
Island.
No, only if the community wants it.
Mr. Mamdani.
I'm personally skeptical of casinos, but voters did choose to bring them to New York City, and unlike Andrew Cuomo and Donald Trump, I don't view the law as just a suggestion.
Do you have a favorite of the 3?
No, I don't have favorites of casinos.
Mr. Cuomo.
I believe this one in Coney Island. I want that one.
I do not. I have not reviewed the proposals. I was not in. I did not vote.
It's not so hard to say.
I did. Let me just so you understand some facts. I did not vote to bring the casinos to New York City. I did casinos in upstate New York as economic development measures. I had no part of these 3 casinos, how they were done. I think it's highly problematic, and I think there's going to be a lot more to come.
If this was,
Boy, that
if this
sounds
was
like
a ranked choice,
technology to me. You and Zohran can't answer a straight question.
If there was a ranked choice,
This was like just supposed to be like a fun question. Like, which of the 3 casinos do you like the most? Tell us why. And they dug too deep into it. It wasn't a deep question.
election, how would you vote, Mr. Mamdani?
If there was a ranked choice election,
In this, you'd have to rank these.
myself number 1 and Curtis number 2.
Mr. Sliwa.
Oh, please don't be glazing me here, Zohran. Are you kidding?
Mr. Sliwa, do you want to have an
I
answer?
support ranked choice voting, but I'd only vote for myself.
Mr. Cuomo.
I love that Zohran and Curtis ticket idea. I don't know. I'm just enamored with it. I would just rank myself.
Would any of you accept
Lame.
Mayor Adams' endorsement? Mr. Mamdani.
Hell yeah.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes, I would.
Mr. Sliwa.
Absolutely not. Put that crook in jail. where
Oh
he
my
belongs.
god.
And final, a fun one.
Be careful. Be
What is-
careful.
What is your favorite live music venue in New York City, Mr. Sliwa?
Oh, chain smokers.
Under the,
EDM.
under the Cape
I don't
Bridge,
know
I
it.
presume.
That's right, the
Live-
Kosciuszko Bridge.
Okay.
Mr. Mamdani.
Forest Hill Stadium.
Mr. Cuomo.
Okay.
Under the Kosciuszko Bridge.
Have you seen a show under the Cape Bridge? Who'd you see?
No, I picked up my daughters at a show there. That's as far as I say.
That's a good answer.
Candidates, it's time for the cross-examination round. That's where each candidate gets a chance to ask one question of one rival. The order was selected at random. We're going to begin
The
with
candidates get to ask their rivals, the other candidates, a question. This is going to get juicy.
Curtis Sliwa.
Zohran, you talk about free, free, free. But we know that somebody's got to pay for it, and that's you, the taxpayers. And that's going to lead to bankruptcy. The only reason that Zohran is on the stage is because of the failed Governor Cuomo, who was rejected by the Democrats in the primary and rejected by 13 women who charged you with sexual harassment.
He's getting both of
You
them.
ever know that no means no? You know
Oh my
what no
God.
means?
Your question is to Mr.
Cuomo.
Mamdani. Who was your
Well,
question
we
to?
can bifurcate it, right?
No. You can't. Who was your question
It's
to?
to Cuomo.
Okay.
What? Okay,
Your response.
that's got to be a loss for Sliwa because the original question was to Mamdani, and you can't do both. It's true. It's a debate. Come on, you don't just get to talk forever.
Mr. Cuomo.
I'm not sure what the man said,
Yeah,
but
fair.
the situation, my legal situation, as we discussed before, was fully litigated. I was dropped from the cases.
That is true. He was not guilty on all of it, but people argue, come on, 13 people with sexual harassment claims, they can't all be fake. But apparently they all are. I mean, which is crazy. I don't know. So people say it's political. I haven't heard that it was a political case. But he wasn't charged.
If anyone has a legal situation to talk about, I think it's Mr. Sliwa, who runs the Guardian Angels, and apparently as a charitable donation, but never filed any tax returns for the Guardian Angels, and has been accepting charitable donations, which is just a crime and tax fraud. So I think that's the person who has
I think that's a low blow. The Guardian Angels are like meant to like protect New Yorkers. And I doubt they even make any profits in the first place. I'm sure a lot of them are spending their own time and money to even do that. It's like community service. But maybe he's saying it's not filed properly as like a nonprofit, so it's tax theft in some way. I don't know.
To do.
Okay, your turn to ask a question, Mr. Cuomo.
To Zohran, I believe, as we've stated, that you have been a divisive force in New York, and I believe that's toxic energy for New York. It's with the Jewish community. It's with the Italian American community when you give the Columbus statue the finger. It's with the Sunni Muslims when you say decriminalize prostitution.
Oh, fun fact, if you guys want to Google something, Google, did Christopher Columbus make his expedition to try to find wealth so we can build the third temple in Jerusalem with another crusade? Google that, because it's actually true. It's crazy.
Which is haram. It's the Hindus. But then you take a picture with Rebecca Kadaga, Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda. You take a picture with your father. You're smiling. He's smiling. She's known as Rebecca Gay Killer Kadaga.
Question.
You're a citizen of Uganda. You took the picture. You said you didn't know who she was. It turns out you did. How do you not renounce your citizenship or demand BDS against Uganda for imprisoning people who are gay just by their sexual orientation? Isn't that a basic violation of human rights?
I think he gets the question.
My politics is consistent, and my politics is built on a belief in human rights for all people, and that extends to queer and trans New Yorkers, and it extends to queer and trans Ugandans. And had I known that the first deputy minister was the architect of that legislation, I would not have taken that photo. And yet I also know that this constant attempt to smear and slander me is an attempt to also distract from the fact that, unlike myself, you do not actually have a platform or a set of policies to protect those same New Yorkers here. All you have are the insults that you have lobbed at every single opportunity you have.
Yeah. Okay. First of all,
no, that's it. Cross-examination is just a question and answer. Your turn to ask a question.
Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, 13 different women who worked in your administration credibly accused you of sexual harassment. Since then, you have spent more than $20 million in taxpayer funds to defend yourself, all while describing these allegations as entirely political. You have even gone so far as to legally go after these women. One of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is here in the audience this evening.
Oh, this is going to get so juicy.
You sought to access her
Look at
private
Cuomo's
gynecological records. She cannot speak up for herself because you lodged a defamation case against her. I, however, can speak. What do you say to the 13 women that you sexually harassed?
If you
all right, that's a point for Mamdani.
Want to be in government, then you have to be serious and mature. There were allegations of sexual harassment. They were then went to 5 district attorneys, fully litigated for 4 years. The cases were dropped, right? You know that as a fact. So everything you just stated, you just said was a misstatement, which we're accustomed to from you.
Stated was a misstatement?
Yes, because the cases were dropped. That's what happened. And my question to you, you still didn't answer, why won't you say BDS against Uganda for saying gays should be imprisoned for being gay?
Okay.
You have no problem with BDS against...
Does Mamdani hate on the gays? Is that what Cuomo's trying to say? Does anyone know?
Israel, but no BDS for Uganda.
This is just one question, one answer. We all heard it. Thank you very much, candidates. Brian.
Our next topic is education. The next mayor will oversee the largest school system in the United States, as you know, with roughly 900,000 students,
education's
thousands
boring.
of schools, and billions of dollars in budget. We have an education question for each of you. Mr. Mamdani, you said you would give up mayoral control of schools and share decision-making with...
No, he actually said in the last debate that he wouldn't do that. If you want to check that out, it's on our channel.
...various stakeholders. But in the last debate, you said you're still for mayoral accountability.
Right. Yes, he said that.
For educational outcomes. This has confused some people about how you can give up final authority but still hold yourself accountable. Can you try to clarify that?
I remain opposed to mayoral control, and I also believe that the mayor is accountable for...
Okay, so I believe he said the opposite of that in the last debate. So he did flip-flop.
...that which happens in this city. I will not shirk that accountability, even when we are putting together a system that has greater involvement for parents, for educators, for students. Look, 1 in 300 Americans is a student in the New York City public school system. This is a system where we are failing to deliver excellence to students, to teachers, to parents, and it is time to have a mayor who understands not only the crisis in front of us, but the fact that we have to change our ways if we want to change our results. And that is what we are running on, a plan for the future, not to simply relitigate the past.
Mr. Sliwa.
Yes, I really don't know enough about education to say, like, is it working or not in New York City? Because you do have to understand a lot of the children that go to these schools like are immigrants and just don't speak English, and that is going to affect like grade levels, like English speaking levels or math levels, like everything. It's being taught in English. They talked about not having enough like teachers that can translate for all these kids, and it affects the rate at which these students learn on average if you go off like these generalized test scores or whatever, and you compare them to like other cities in the country where everyone speaks English. You know, so there's an argument that there's nothing wrong with the New York City's education for like kids and stuff. I really don't know enough about it though.
You recently proposed reducing the education budget by $10 billion, or about 25%, to help pay for tax cuts. But your website includes things like, quote, hire more therapists, expand services for students with learning differences, build new vocational high schools, restore arts programs, expand athletic programs, and increase teacher pay to attract and retain top talent. Those are all exact quotes from your website. How do you defund the education department by 25% to cut taxes, add in the Trump administration's various cuts, and do all those expansions at the same time?
Well, let me tell you, you
Tough
have
question.
a bureaucracy at the Tweed Courthouse. Perfect place to house the Department of Education because of the corruption in the top ranks. You have 13 deputy chancellors. You have about 50 department heads. Nobody at the school level ever deals with them. $41,000 we pay per student, and teachers still have to reach into their pockets to pay for basic supplies. You cut at the top, contracts that have been negotiated that have not been overseen. You will save millions and millions of dollars. And yes, you open up the schools as it was when I went to public school, after school center, night center, weekend center, not just sports but culture, plays, musicals. People used to be able to take instruments home when they were in band and orchestra. That attracted children. 1/3 of our children don't even come to school each day, and we need more vocational training like we had when
That's what I was talking about, vocational training.
When I was growing up. That's been depleted, and more charter schools. We need to raise the cap and have more charter schools for the children who have been waiting to get in for years.
So yeah, not a bad answer, but not a good enough one to get a point. But he's saying expand like private schools, which is like a very Republican take. And he's also saying more vocational teachers that can teach these students, these immigrant kids that don't know how to speak English. Not a bad take.
Question from Mr. Cuomo.
Thanks, Brian. Mr. Cuomo, there's currently a state law to reduce class sizes in the city. You recently described the law as, quote, reckless, and proposed that popular schools be exempted from this law. You also want to start closing low-performing schools, one of the most controversial policies of Mayor Bloomberg. Would you defy the class size law, and if you close existing schools rather than work to improve them, what specifically helps the kids learn more and where?
Yeah, the common denominator on all these things is, the question is, what is your plan to change things, and what is your ability and experience to do it? These are management challenges. And I have managed large bureaucracies. The Department of Education, we lost 1 million students. What's happening is young families have to make a decision when their child has to go to school. They're deciding to go to the suburbs, go to Jersey. They're not going to sacrifice their kid. So it is a terrible problem for the entire city.
You can choose to raid the caravan, or you can choose to guard it. This is a game where slaying
the shrinking public school system. I would double the gifted and talented programs, double the number of specialized high schools, keep the SAT, and keep mayoral control. It is wholly inconsistent to say.
So he's basically saying he would just run it the way it's been run, but better. He would manage it better.
I think it's a top priority, but I want to give up mayoral control, but I want to be a mayor who runs grocery stores. Forget the grocery stores. Run the Department of Education. It was the most single instrumental reform. Mayor Bloomberg was right. The mayor in Boston and Chicago don't give up mayoral control.
Would you defy the law, the class size law?
The problem with the class size law, it's a nice idea. The state didn't send the money. The state has not been doing its fair share for the city. If you have a nice idea, that's nice. Send the money.
And just a fact check, I don't think we lost 1 million students.
Not a
we
bad
have just about
take.
under 1 million students in the DOE system. But just a quick show of hands.
I'm sorry, yes.
And just a show of hands, no talking. Who is in favor
No talking.
of the cell phone ban in schools? Raise your hands. Everyone has raised their hands.
Cuomo, is your hand up or down?
They all are in favor of the cell phone ban. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like they're all in favor of the cell phone ban. I think I agree. I think students will pay attention more. But some students are going to be addicted to their cell phones, and they're going to go through straight up withdrawal symptoms during school for a little bit. So there will be a little bit of a shakeup, but I think it's for the greater good.
Okay. Candidates, I want to talk about Rikers Island. Under city law, the jail complex on Rikers is supposed to close in 2027. That's something that the next mayor is going to have to navigate. The population, however, has only gone up. It's surpassing 7,000 detainees, and a judge this year put Rikers on a path toward federal receivership. So here's the question. As mayor, will you commit to the closure of Rikers Island as required? And if not, what is your alternative plan? We'll start with you, Mr. Sliwa.
Well, you can't just close a jail. You'd have to open another one, right?
Number one, the architect for the closing of Rikers Island is on this stage. That's former Governor Andrew Cuomo. He was the first, and his apprentice is Zohran Mamdani. No, you keep Rikers Island open. There are 7 functioning buildings, 3 others that need to be rehabbed. You can move those who have mental health issues and give them the treatment they need as long as they're detained on Rikers Island. Some people do a year of time if they're given that in the courts rather than be shipped upstate. So there are a variety of inmates. We have allocated $8 billion for 4 community jails. The price tag is now up to $16 billion and will only house 4,000 of the 7,000. Guess what? We keep the inmates on Rikers Island, and we turn those 4 units in the neighborhoods into affordable housing that we've all been clamoring for.
What about the law that requires the closing?
Oh, you go into court, you fight. You fight for the taxpayers, and you fight to keep inmates on Rikers Island so that we don't just have to lock up toothpaste in New York City, but we lock up inmates.
Mr. Cuomo.
I like that. Because, like, you go into, like, a CVS or something, and the toothpaste is locked up because there's so many people that just, like, steal that shit. And so he's saying, don't lock up the toothpaste, lock up the criminals, keep Rikers open. That's a great take.
The Zohran has said he'd honor the law closing Rikers in 2027. You can't. You can't. Unless you intend to release all the people on Rikers Island, which is the Democratic Socialist policy. The county jails are not going to be built. It was a mistake. The whole plan was a mistake. They are years late, billions over budget. I would say scrap the county jails, build new jails on Rikers Island, provide ferry and bus transportation for people from the other boroughs to visit on Rikers Island, and then use the existing 4 sites for commercial residential. But you cannot close Rikers on 2027 because there's no place to put the people unless you're going to release 7,000 people.
Well, you're familiar with the idea that a law is passed, it's supposed to be followed, even if it's difficult, even if the timeline is screwed up, even if the money's not there.
Yeah, so then, which is Zohran's position, then you're saying release the 7,000 people. And I'm saying I'm not going to release 7,000 criminals into New York City.
Yeah. Mr. Mamdani.
There is no one on this stage that is saying that. Yet Andrew Cuomo will repeat it again and again. What I have said time and again, I'll repeat it again, is that yes, we have to close Rikers Island. Rikers Island is a stain on the history of this city. And that this current administration has made it nearly impossible to do so
He kind of got mixed reactions on that one.
By the stipulated timeline. So what I will do is everything in my power to try and meet that deadline, knowing that Eric Adams has made it so difficult because he's had no interest in actually following through on it. And as much as you will hear about experience and running a government, what Andrew Cuomo doesn't seem to understand is the city has already entered into contracts for these borough-based jails, and to end those contracts would be to incur massive fiscal penalties, but that's not something that he seems to care about, even as he speaks about the fiscal stewardship of this city.
If I may.
Yeah, I'm not well versed on Rikers. I just know crime in the city isn't as out of control as other cities like Chicago or DC, but I do know that the prisons are overpopulated, so closing a prison, to do that, you'd have to build other prisons, right?
You want to talk to me about running government or managing projects? I built the 2nd Avenue subway. I built the Mario Cuomo Bridge, the largest infrastructure project in the United States of America, $5 billion on time, on budget. 2nd Avenue subway, Moynihan train hall. Of course there's costs incurred. The question is going to be, how much more does it cost to finish the jail, and are you better off cutting your losses? That's the question in the discussion, and you sit down with the contractor and you negotiate. Yeah. But your position of, I'm going to close it on 2027, the question is yes or no. Do you close it in 2027? You still haven't answered.
You will hear from Andrew Cuomo about his experience as if the issue is that we don't know about it. The issue is that we have all experienced your experience. The issue is that we experienced you taking a $5 million book deal while you sent seniors to their deaths in nursing homes.
Ooh, got him.
We experienced you funding for the MTA to send money to upstate ski resorts. The issue is that we saw you give $959 million in tax breaks to Elon Musk. The issue is your experience.
No, the only thing...
Got him.
The issue is you have no experience.
That's what I
You've accomplished.
That's what I told you.
You haven't proposed.
All right, we got to give Mamdani a OW there. Or Cuomo a loss, either or. I won't give Cuomo the loss just because they already brought this stuff up a little bit earlier in the debate, so we'll give Mamdani a win. That was so funny.
The bill on anything, and you still haven't said if you'll close Rikers in 2027.
Stop. I got the answer to the questions I was asking. Thanks very much. Let's move on.
My next question is about another law that's already on the books. The city has a climate law, Local Law 97, that will require a large percentage of the buildings in the city to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030 or face financial penalties. As you know, some co-ops, condos, and landlords
I don't support this law.
are afraid of crushing expenses, but buildings account for 70% of the city's climate pollution emissions, so reduction would need to include that sector. You all have taken different positions on this. I want our viewers and listeners to hear each of you, starting with Mr. Cuomo in this case. Would you abide by and make others abide by Local Law 97 as it stands?
As it stands, you're going to have to be flexible in the application. What's going to happen now is many companies will just pay the fine because it's cheaper than actually following the rules. And that's the last thing you want. That accomplishes nothing, right? It's just another tax, in essence, on these units. So there's going to have to be flexibility. It's the right intent, it's the right goal, but how you implement it has to deal with reality and the costs. Again, otherwise I can
That's a good response, but it is still half-baked.
tell you, I've had this conversation with many of them. They're not even going to try. They're just going to pay the fine.
What kind of flexibility, if you could be
It's going to be
specific?
timing, and what do we mean, and can it be phased in?
Mr. Mamdani.
The climate crisis is one of the most pressing crises facing this city. And we
Is it? Is it actually, though? Or are you just saying that?
deserve to take it on with the urgency it requires. It is right now easier to pay the fine than to actually comply with this legislation. We have to ensure that we make it easier for condo and co-op owners to follow these laws, and we do that by eliminating the application fees for J51, by extending that tax credit, by also creating a one-stop shop in New York City government that procures at a large scale heat pumps and the very kind of infrastructure needed to comply. We've seen this happen
Who's going to pay for that, man?
before with clean energy work that's been done in Woodside houses. It's time to bring that kind of work right here so that we can ensure full compliance.
Sliwa.
I'm the only one on this stage totally opposed to Local 97.
My
100,000
man.
condo and co-op owners. Their maintenance fees will go up 30%. They won't have enough reserve fees. You're going to see massive flight from the co-ops and condos. Now, they want to electrify everything. Well, there's a man on the stage who took Indian Point offline. That was 25% of our electrical output. We haven't been able to meet the needs since. And as a result,
Yeah, and utility costs have like skyrocketed. That's one of the like major points of inflation. People complain about utility costs right now. And he's right. In this like local whatever, I don't know, local 96 or whatever they said. It like mandates buildings to be more like eco-friendly, to emit less pollution. Otherwise they have to like pay fines. And he's just against it because it just it imposes a tax on like small time landlords or like co-op buildings or like even single family homes, I believe, as long as they're considered like a building. Basically just older buildings. It prices them out. It's going to tax them unfairly.
they're now starting to build, because of the city of yes that I'm opposed, these lithium-ion battery warehouses. Where? Staten Island.
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life. Raise
38, Brooklyn 12, 8 in Queens, 4 in the Bronx, and none in Manhattan? Oh no, they're going to electrify and they don't have the electrical output. So I say no to Local 97. And when I'm mayor, I tell all my commissioners, throw a monkey wrench into the process. We slow it down because we want these condo owners and co-op owners to stay.
Mr. Cuomo, you were name checked on Indian Point?
I think I was. Indian Point was a danger. It was the nuclear power plant most closely located to the densest population. There was no nuclear plant on the globe that close to a city. There were 20 million people in what was called the kill zone. Before I became Attorney General, there had been a number of lawsuits to stop it. What we did is we brought cables down from upstate New York down the Hudson River. We have nuclear upstate. We're in rural areas to bring that nuclear power down the cables and then on that basis substitute for Indian Point's power.
Yes or no?
Electricity rates are too high to pay because of you, Andrew Cuomo.
Yes or
Yeah,
no?
look, you
Would
know
any
what you're
of you
talking about.
support new nuclear power plants to help bring down the rising cost of utilities in New York City?
Oh, so he's asking, are you for bringing new nuclear power plants online? Let's see what the candidates say.
Just yes or no, Mr. Sliwa?
Upstate, they're already starting, yes.
Mr.
All right, love that.
Mamdani?
I think it's something worth exploring.
Mr. Cuomo?
Not a straight answer. Would love to hear him say yes.
Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So he said yes to nuclear power, but barely.
Yes.
Katie.
All three of them. All three of them. All right, we'll give them all
We're going to
away.
move on now to the economy. Ms. Mamdani, you're proposing to raise the city's minimum wage to $30 an hour by 2030. How would you get the state legislature to go along with your plan? And do you think it's realistic to feel that a small business owner would have to pay every employee this amount, especially when the city currently doesn't mandate that figure for its own public employees? And I have separate questions for Mr. Sliwa and Mr. Cuomo.
So this would be something where the city would have to start doing so as well, because any law that we want New Yorkers to follow, the city should be following it itself. And the reason that we put forward $30 by 2030 is that that's the minimum that a New Yorker needs to be paid to be able to afford to live in this city. And what we are looking at.
So he's saying everyone in the city needs to make $30 an hour. I don't even know if that's true, and that sounds like a crazy high amount. But what do I know?
Right now is the possibility of the place that we know and love becoming a museum of where working class people used to be able to live. Our proposal that we've put forward would be phased in over a
Wouldn't that just create like hyperinflation?
longer period of time for small business owners to ensure that they could deal with this. And it's also one that we are confident we would be able to accomplish because of the fact that we are seeing from New Yorkers time and time again, the absence of it is pushing them to live in Jersey City, to live in Pennsylvania.
I don't know. I think if you forced all the businesses to pay their employees $30 instead of like a minimum wage, like a lot of them would go out of business and you'd lose a lot of jobs in the city. But I could be wrong, but that's what I think would happen.
To live in Connecticut because they can't afford to live in New York City.
Thank you. And for Mr. Sliwa and Mr. Cuomo, if you're not in favor of a $30 minimum wage, what are your plans to raise the salaries of workers in New York City? We'll start with you, Mr. Sliwa.
First off, Zohran Mamdani deals with fantasy, not reality. Look at all the Uber drivers. Look at all the taxi drivers, the Lyft drivers. They will now have driverless cars. That's what they're pushing. AI that's going to be wiping out so many jobs, especially for young men and women who went to school, got their 4 years of college, 2-year degree, and they're making $155,000, and then they get wiped out. You know what the corporate sector is going to do. They're going to bring in robotics. Zohran, stop dealing with fantasy and start dealing with reality. You're pushing.
So what, is Sliwa arguing for universal basic income because all these people, instead of getting minimum wage, are going to be unemployed because of robots? Is that what he's trying to say?
Pushing businesses out because you want to tax them. I'm the only one here who wants to cut the corporate taxes, the income tax, the property tax we can cut in order to keep business here. But
yeah, I mean, that's a good idea, but that means less money for the government, right?
if you raise the minimum wage too high, they're going to end up going in a different direction, and they're not going to hire workers. It's going to be robots and driverless cars and AI. And
okay, so he's saying don't raise the minimum wage because if you do, like, Uber's going to replace all the Uber drivers with robotic cars. Interesting take.
I'm opposed to that.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo.
Yeah. I half agree with Curtis. There is, Zohran does have socialist theory colliding with practical reality. I went through this. We raised the minimum wage to the highest in the United States of America. New York set the bar. We set it at $15. Every other state said, that's crazy when we did it. People in the state said that was crazy when we did it. But it was calibrated. It was doable. We phased it in different parts of the state. We phased it in with small businesses. We gave them assistance. Because if you raise it too high, and I believe 30 is too high, I would raise it to 20. If you raise it to too high, you do two things. People lose their jobs. You bankrupt the businesses. You're talking about basically doubling payroll. And you can have a negative effect where literally businesses close and people lose their jobs. And overall, again, it's another tax on corporations, another reason to leave New York, another reason to pack up the family.
All right, so I gotta say, I actually got to give Cuomo the win here. I think he has, it's such a half-baked response, but it is the most reasonable. You can't raise the minimum wage to $30, but also you can't defund the government to incentivize businesses to stay and pay their employees.
And get on I-95 and go to South Carolina and Florida and Texas.
All right. Candidates, we are coming down the home stretch. I want to alert our media partners, especially we're going to go over by 5 minutes, and we're going to have Brian lead a conversation about transit.
Right, and we're going to have to do this very briefly to each of you because you each have transit things to answer to. Mr. Cuomo, you say the city should take partial control of New York City transit away from the MTA, which is mostly controlled by the state. Would the city then have to foot more of the bill? And if this is a good idea, why didn't you propose it as governor?
The capital, first of all, New York City owns the New York City Transit Authority, not the MTA. It leases the trains and subways to the MTA. And then the question is the division of responsibility. New York City does the safety along with the MTA. The problem the MTA is having is the capital construction projects. It has been an ongoing problem. I came in, I took over Moynihan and finished it. I came in and took over.
Moynihan is pretty nice as well, I will say that.
Second Avenue subway, the L train tunnel. The capital construction projects are way overdue.
Would it fall more on the city to pay?
I would say no. There is a budget set. My only point is the MTA, which is a labyrinth bureaucracy set up by Rockefeller, which should have never been done in the first place. It's an overwhelming task for the greatest managers, and I hired both of them. But let the city manage the capital construction from the MTA budget.
It's what we asked for.
Summon the food!
Mr. Mamdani, make your case briefly for your proposal for free buses for everybody, even those who can afford to pay.
You know, first I'll just say that one of the most celebrated leaders of the New York City Transit was Andy Byford, who had such a terrible experience working under Andrew Cuomo that he would rather work under Donald Trump right now.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I totally could relate to that.
The proposal that we have put forward addresses the fact that today, in the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, 1 in 5 New Yorkers cannot afford the bus fare. It would cost $700 million a year to make the slowest buses in the country fast and free. And by doing so, we would generate more than double in economic revenue for New Yorkers across the city. It would be something that would reduce assaults on bus drivers, it would increase ridership on those buses, and it would actually have environmental impacts as fewer New Yorkers would drive their own car or take a taxi and would instead get on the bus. And I know all of this because I delivered it as a state assembly member who won the first free buses in New York City's history.
And Mr. Sliwa, your website, according to my reading, has a section on transit safety, but nothing on transit service. Do you have any core proposals for improving it?
Oh, sure. First off, Zohran, I get a good belly laugh.
Zohran, bro.
Oh, all right. I'll keep practicing.
I got you.
I get a good belly laugh every time I hear you say free fare in the subways. Half the people don't pay anyway.
Got him.
How about fair enforcement? I'm the only one who says we have all kinds of fair programs for the indigent and the poor. But if you don't pay your fare, there needs to be enforcement. And by the way, I've taken the subway almost every day of my life since I was 5. The worst time was the summer of 2017, the summer of hell, Andrew Cuomo,
right,
when
Curtis.
you were running the subway system as the head of the MTA. I don't trust you with anything to do
So
with mass transit.
why would you, how would you make it better?
Oh, very simply. Everybody pays their fare, enforcement, more cops in the subway system.
Agreed.
And by the way, we can get more people to voluntarily actually sponsor their subway system stations, clean it up, and beautify them, and add some life so the community has input into the subway that they have to go through the sleaze and slime all the time.
Yeah.
All right, candidates, we've got just a couple of minutes. Let's have another quick lightning round where each candidate will answer my questions with a quick response, usually yes or no. Name one person you'd like to see run for president in 2028, Mr.
Oh, jeez.
Wow, in
Donald Trump.
2028. Man, I'm dealing right now with 2025.
Mr. Mamdani.
He didn't
My
even
only
answer.
focus is on November.
Didn't
Cuomo.
answer.
I haven't thought it through.
Okay.
Didn't answer.
We have a city of hundreds of languages and cultures. Can you greet New Yorkers in a language other than your own, Mr. Cuomo?
Ciao. Buenos dias.
Ni hao with a pangyo.
Okay.
Buona fortuna per 100 anni.
What is that?
Have you decided on a school's chancellor, Mr. Sliwa?
Yes, I would ask Bob Holden, who's taught 40 years. He leads Democrats for Sliwa.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
No, I haven't decided on a chancellor as yet.
Okay. Should people be arrested for the solicitation of sex, Mr. Sliwa?
No, the Johns, yes, the pimps, the madams, and the absentee landlords.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
No.
Mr. Cuomo?
Zohran's decriminalization for prostitutes, Johns, and
So yeah, Mamdani here says if someone is a lady of the night, we shouldn't arrest them. Basically. And Cuomo's saying, oh, that means you legalized prostitution. Well, not technically, but they kind of disagree on this.
pimps would be a disaster on the quality of life in
They
New
should be
York
arrested,
City.
you say? Should people be arrested for soliciting sex?
It is a criminal offense. I would keep it as it is.
Okay.
So Cuomo says he would arrest the prostitutes. Mamdani says no. And then Sliwa says no, but we'll arrest the landlords that lease to them, and we'll arrest the pimps, and we'll arrest the people who buy their services. So 3 different takes here.
Last question. Can you name one thing that New York got right during the COVID crisis, Mr. Sliwa?
New York got right. Oh, wow. He didn't get anything right during the COVID crisis. No.
Mr. Mamdani?
It only took me 15 minutes to get my vaccine shot when I went for that, and that was an efficient experience.
Mr. Cuomo?
Thank you for the compliment.
I was a city-run vaccine.
All
site.
right. Gentlemen. Thanks so much, gentlemen. That is going to do it for this debate. I would like to thank the candidates and our partners and all of you at home.
All right, that's it. I guess let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel if you want more episodes like this. I think this is the last mayoral debate. We got Sliwa winning, but really you could give it to any of these guys. I don't even see Mamdani as like a drastic candidate anymore. They all seem very similar. Because there is a demographic you have to play into if you want to become mayor of New York City. But I would have loved to see the Republican candidate Sliwa be more like pro-ICE, pro-Trump. I think that would put him over the edge because you got 2 Democrats here. But he just won't go that far because he is kind of a moderate Republican. Mamdani seems like he wants more drastic change. Cuomo seems like more of the same. And then Sliwa seems like the odd one out, like the Republican candidate. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Definitely follow the channel for more stuff like